During the 2023 ACC Media kickoff, your Clemson Tigers hit the stage. What was Dabo Swinney's biggest emphasis? Cade Klubnik growing as a player? We're going to talk about all that next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network, as well as part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. And guys, thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every single day, Monday through Friday, whenever I drop these episodes, man. Football is almost here, guys. Football is almost here, and we have a fun show to talk about the ACC Media Day and the big takeaways from just the event, and especially more so from your Clemson Tigers, right? Dabo Swinney, made his appearance, and like every year when he shows up, he brings a couple players with him, and he brought Tyler Davis, interior defensive lineman, your starting quarterback, Cade Klubnik, as well as the quarterback of the offensive line, center Will Putnam as well. And man, guys, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the good old ball coach. Dabo Swinney had some interesting comments, man, just kind of talking about he went from a variety of different topics, being asked different things, from Cade Klubnik and his growth to just, I think with transfer portal, a lot of different things. But one thing that he emphasized, Dabo Swinney wants to win. The emphasis is winning. And he talked about that just with that mentality of Clemson, that they have to enter games, and the mentality they have to enter games with during the season. 24/7 Sports did a good job breaking down, because I was planning on going, but guys, I had to go to the Panthers training camp, and everything like that for the Draft Network. So just kind of, they moved the date back for ACC Media Day, so it kind of threw off my schedule and my calendar this year. So my apologies for not being able to be there and bring you some good video content and different things like that. But he talked about winning in a couple of different ways, and he was asked about dealing with the different things impacting college football right now as a head coach. And listen, he kicked it off with the word win. He just said, you just got to win. Just got to win. All that stuff is a lot to talk about, but it still comes down to what you do on the field. We got to win on the field. We got to continue to produce great teams year in and year out. I think we've been able to do that. There's a lot of really good coaches and really good players in this league. You can go all the way back to 2005 and 2013. This league has produced the second most draft picks, and this was more so in regards to asking about NIL and the transfer portal and recruiting, not just recruiting as we talk about like on the prowl all the time, recruiting new freshmen, but also what a big part of recruiting is recruiting your guys who are draft eligible back to have more eligibility in college, right? So if you got a redshirt sophomore who is a standout player that you need back, and he's probably going to be a first-round pick the next available year, but he's probably going to be second, third round that year, you can use that as fuel to bring him back, work on his game, go out there and ball out again, and now he hears his name called during the first 32 picks of the NFL draft in the first round. So that's a big part of that, right? And that's why he kind of talked about it, being able to bring those guys back. He did that this year, right? Bringing back Rook, row, and bringing Tyler Davis back, getting both of those guys back, and Andrew McCooper, getting all those guys back into the fold, man. That is big for the 2023 season. And he goes on to continue to say, great coaches and great players. At the end of the day, we got to win football games. Key word here is win. So focus on what we do. So my focus is on what we do at Clemson. I think we got a lot of really, really good teams in this league. And as I said, great coaches, just continue to compete at the highest level. Obviously, we step out of conference and you get matchups, and we've got to continue to what? win our fair share of those. So he talked about winning and the emphasis on it, because that's really what matters at the end of the day, right? And then they talked to him about is there an advantage about opening the season, I believe, on a Monday night. And he said, not really. It kind of helps with your prep, I guess, just because we did it last year, because it is a little different. You have to take a couple of days for your camp and prepare for the next opponent, because we're going to get back at 5 a.m. and it's Tuesday, and you have to play again the following Saturday. It doesn't matter who you play. You have to play the game, and you want to be prepared. The last thing you want to do is put your team in a situation where they're not prepared. And not prepared. And the team we're playing, I think, plays on a Thursday night. They got a lot of time to get ready for us. You have to take a little time in camp to get ready for that opponent. Then it's a little different, again, being a Monday night, and that's probably it. But again, the emphasis is winning, right? Being in the right position, being in the right, and putting the guys in a team, having them prepared, right? And even goes on. You think about, he's asked about whether Clemson has a chip on his shoulder because of all the outside noise, and I love this answer. Listen, people talk about Clemson. We've had 12 really, really, really good years in a row. Some great years in there. It's hard to get in the Final Four when there's 133 teams trying to do it. We've been there as much as anybody, and if not going 8 years in a row means we stink, well, I guess we stink. But maybe we can get back there this year and be able to say we went 7 out of the last 9. That would be a pretty cool accomplishment. That's not going to happen if we don't win. And win the state championship. So that's not going to happen if we don't win the opener and win the state championship and win this league and win the closer. What is the theme of this? Winning, like, at the end of the day. And he said none of the rest of that stuff really matters. He said what we can control, that's our prep, that's our mindset, that's how we attack each day. The good old ball coach was in his bag. He was in his coaching bag, talking about winning and the understanding of winning and what it means to win and things of that nature. He talked about, like I said, the transfer portal and things of that nature. And it's like there was a lot in his, I believe, about 15 minutes of time. And of course, getting into, QB1, Cade Klubnik, right? And he just said, listen, the theme is the theme at this point, right? He's asked about Cade. He said, well, he's a winner. First of all, the kid has won his entire life. When you have somebody that's consistently won for a long, long time, there are certain characteristics that drive that, and he embodies all those characteristics, Swinney said. He is an unbelievable competitor. He loves to prepare. He is passionate about it. He is a leader. He has a great football IQ, and he has an amazing skill set. He goes on to say, there's a lot to – there's really not much to not like about Cade Klubnik. That's why he's winning again. That's why he's won the Elite 11, was the top quarterback in the country coming out of high school. He didn't look up and do that. He has to put a lot of work in to accomplish this feat. So, at the end of the day, the mentality, the state and namesake of the conference and the league for the ACC, the things of the controllables, right? At the end of the day, what does it all boil down to for Coach Swinney and the head ball coach? It boils down to winning. Nothing else matters, right? The transfer portal doesn't matter if you don't win, because if you're not a winning program, right, it's hard for players to say, I want to go to Clemson. I want to go to Duke. I want to go anywhere else in the ACC if the SEC is the only conference winning. If the Big Ten is the only other conference winning, the ACC at the end of the day has to win, and Clemson has to win if they want to continue to be a prominent blue blood team in college football. So, but we talk about winning. We talk about getting prepared to win. Talk about being ready to win. QB1 talked about his growth as a player. Talked about his growth as a quarterback. He sounds and looks primed, poised, and ready for a breakout. So we're going to talk about Cade Klubnik and his comments from ACC Media Day coming up next on the Locked On Clemson podcast. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. All you need to do is, it's easy, guys. Just create a job post on LinkedIn Jobs. Once you add your job, put the purple hashtag hiring frame to it, to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Then you have simple tools at your disposal, like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skill set and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and or hire. And that's why small businesses rate and rank LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates. Listen, helps you find those qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. QB1 Cade Klubnik sounds ready to rock and roll for the 2023 college football season. His comments at the ACC Media Day were interesting to me, and I really enjoyed listening to him talk. It's up on YouTube. There's some recordings and everything, and I loved listening to this young man. And what I loved was the honesty, right? Then they asked him how just preparing for the season and kind of what's different for him and his approach to the offseason. And he said he admitted to not knowing how to read defensive fronts and boxes, right? And I always talk about this. Football is a numbers game, whether it's run game or passing game. To find advantageous opportunities, it starts with the run game. And he admitted to not knowing how to read defensive fronts and boxes, and he talked about just the different coaches and players that, that's been around that's helping him. He also talked about just learning how to read blitzes and do improper pickup and, blitz pickup in protection as well, right? Calling the checks and everything at the line of scrimmage, realizing, hey, he's hot. He's coming from the nickel and sliding protection. He's learning how to do that now. He said he didn't know how to do that for the most part of his freshman year of last year, right? He has the right mindset, when it comes down to asking about, whether or not like he's going to come out of the gate guns blazing. And that could be such a tricky question, right? Because it's like, well, yeah, we're going to come out firing. We're going to come out, rolling on all cylinders and all that type of stuff. And all that does is give Duke sound bites, right? Sound clips to play in the meeting rooms and everything else leading up to that week one battle, right? Between Clemson and Duke in Raleigh. But he said, hey, I know I've said this many times. I have to take it one day at a time. So you think about having the right mindset, sounding like a veteran, right? Sounding like a vet. And I absolutely love that for him. And he talked about, someone asked about his takeaways from the bowl game, right? Against Tennessee, where it didn't go according to plan, right? And he said the offense needed to finish drives. He said, we need to finish drives. And he said that game put a bad feeling in their stomach, and it will help push them harder for this season. He said it left a little stink. And what I love, the word he used that I love, he said it added some grit to this program and to this team that I hadn't seen before that. So you talk about being more physical, being tougher, and different things of that nature. Like, you have to love that, guys. You got to love that and hearing that from your star quarterback, your starting quarterback, right? And not only that, but he also talks about, the reason why he came to Clemson, because towards the end, is the very last question, I believe, that he was asked, like I said, I love his mentality. He was asked about like just kind of his reaction to people, with the lineage of Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and, winning national titles and everything. And they basically was asked, how is his reaction to people who don't believe he can get it done? And he said, very one word. Well, I mean, not one word, one-liner. The reason I came to Clemson was for the culture and to win the national championship. That's it. Boom. Drops the mic, and that's it. And I love that, because you don't feed into the trolls. Like, there are going to be some members of this fan base that don't believe in Cade, and that's fine. You want to see it be proven, right? You want to see Dabo get it done without, the Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. And I understand the DJU experiment didn't go well, so forth. So I get it. Okay. I understand it. But at the same time, you got to allow this young man to go out there and put his best foot forward. Right. And the other part that I took away from what he said and from what he was talking about, again, it's all about developing. It's all about working. Right. I always talk about this. And I remember an old scout who took me under his wing, who scouted in the NFL and, and in college. He said, DP, talent gets you drafted, but character and work ethic keeps you there. Talking about going to the NFL. So, yes, you could be a 5-star recruit. You could have the arm of the Josh Allen. You could build a perfect quarterback, right? The build of Cam Newton, Justin Herbert, Cam Newton, the arm talent of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert rolled into one. The running ability of Michael Vick paired with Lamar Jackson, right? You can have all, and then the mind of Tom Brady paired with Peyton Manning. You can have all of that into one man, into one quarterback. But if his character and his work ethic if it doesn't match the talent, they'll never hit that ceiling. And that's the key. So, yes, Cade Klubnik was a 5-star recruit. Yes, he was a 2-sport, 3-sport athlete. Yes, he is immensely talented. But it's the work ethic. And peep this tidbit here. He says working on pocket presence has been a huge emphasis for him the last 3 months of the offseason. He's been doing cone work. He's actually gotten the offensive line and some defensive line together to do mock rushes and blitzing and pressures so that he can move better in the pocket, slide up. Because that is something I noticed, on tape, where instead of sliding into the pocket, right, instead of being here and moving up and finding throwing lanes and getting all that type of stuff, he'll drop back and he'll drift laterally, side to side, side to side. Then he gets outside of the tackle box, outside of the pocket. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But a lot of times if you do that too much, what that does is signal to the edge rushers with enough that study you and have enough tape to find those tendencies, they're just going to come straight. They're going to rush straight up field because if you're not going to step up, and we call it displacing replace, if they displace themselves and leave a vacancy here, if you're not going to step up, and replace that vacancy and you know what I mean, and occupy that, you're just going to walk yourself into pressure. So I love hearing that from QB1. As I said at the beginning of this, QB1 is ready to roll. I believe Cade Klubnik, from his comments at the ACC Media Day, he was very, very candid, very open, very honest, and I love that about him. Shows a maturity level that you don't see from a young player at this stage of his career and this stage of his life and his age, that he's ready to go, man. He's putting in the work. He knows what he messed up on. He knows what he wasn't good at last year. And hey, at the end of the day, whatever your weakness is, you work tooth and nail to make it a strength. And I love that because Cade Klubnik is taking that exact same approach. But guys, you're talking about taking the right approach, right? We want to talk about the perfect, the one player I truly believe emphasizes what it means to be a Clemson Tiger. That's center, interior offensive lineman, what have you. Will Putnam. I've talked about him before. I want to talk about him again. Talk about some of his comments from ACC Media Day coming up next on the Locked On Clemson podcast. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right, guys. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head over to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game, baby. When you shop on eBay Motors, and with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Starting center Will Putnam is the perfect Tiger. And the reason why I say that, man, I think the first question he was asked was about transitioning from guard to center. And for those who don't know, he's been here, he's been in Clemson, he's been in Death Valley since 2019, right? He's played 2019, 2020, and 2021, and all 3 years prior to 2022, he played right guard. So he talked about the transition from playing guard and kicking over to center. He said his experience playing guard made that transition for him a lot easier. And why I say why is he a perfect Tiger, you ask? He's a team first player. And he talked about that. The team needed him to step up and step into a different role. And it was not a problem. He was all in. Whatever the coaches needed from him, he was all in. He even said, if they need me to play right guard again this year, I'll do just that. And then I love the fact that he talked about from a personal aspect, the versatility of playing 2 different positions is good for him. And if that's code for the NFL draft, that's code for finding a roster spot. That's code for I can do multiple things. And I always talk about this on the Locked On NFL Draft Show. The more you can do, the better. It helps you, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're just a center and you can't play any other positions along the offensive line, why? And especially if you're more of a backup, like center 2, center 3, why would they keep you over 2 guys that could actually play guard? One might be able to play tackle, different things like that, right? So versatility is key. And then he was asked about a new offensive coordinator, Garrett Riley and the offense and everything he's bringing to the table. And in his quote, he said, listening to him talk, Putnam said, everyone's on board, man. The excitement and enthusiasm that Coach Riley brings is contagious. He said the offense is player friendly. And it's set up to put players and put playmakers in space and position to make their plays. He talked about just the fact that not only is he a great coach on the field, but he's an outstanding coach in person off the field. Said that Riley this offseason, Coach Garrett Riley brought, offensive coordinator Garrett Riley brought the entire offense to his house with cooked food to just get to know each other, spend time to build that chemistry and camaraderie as well as fellowship. And I say this all, say this all the time as well, guys. Maybe not on this part, but just in general, one of the big things is chemistry is key. Chemistry means a lot. It's very rarely you're going to find players that hate each other's guts and still be able to get it done on the field, right? Because you got to trust that person. And, if I can't trust you in the locker room, I can't trust you to go out to eat with you or have a drink with you. How am I going to trust you to have my back at battle, right? And between the lines, right? In the war zone. How can I trust you to have my back? And I love that Coach Garrett Riley did this because, again, it builds that camaraderie, it builds that chemistry, and then it removes you from the football field and practice, and you just get to know the people, man. You just get to know the person, whether it's them getting to know Coach Riley or Coach Riley getting to know them on a more personal level and know exactly who you're dealing with. Because the key to being a good coach, and you go back to the Chicago Bulls, right? They're in the dynasty with MJ and Pippen and all that type of stuff. And when you have one of the best coaches of all time, right? One of the best coaches of all time. And for some reason, I am just blinking on, his name right now, and I'm Googling it as we talk right now because I'm literally like Phil Jackson. Jesus, I knew it was Phil. Sorry. But when you think about Phil Jackson coaching, not just the Bulls, but those early Laker dynasties, what was he really good at? Not just the X's and O's, but handling egos, knowing how to coach each player. Because everyone from a mental and personality standpoint and character standpoint is not the same. You can yell at some guys and they're like, you know what, coach, you're right. You're right. You yell at some guys and they're like, oh my God, coach, I'm sorry. Like you want to be able to, the guys who are more timid, they need and some people call it soft. It's not soft. It's just how they're mentally, how they were raised, whatever. You want to, if they don't respond to yelling, cussing, and screaming, you put them off to the side. Young fella, let me talk to you. You're better than this. Okay. The false starts, whatever it is, you're better than this. So I love that Coach Riley brought those guys in. He also went on to talk about just the lessons. He was asked about the lessons he had taken from his dad, who was a Green Beret in the military. He said, I learned a lot from my father. He said one of the best things that he learned, take initiative for yourself. Greatness is opinionated. People people make these opinions on who's great and who's not. He said, but excellence is self-driven. Let me tell you that now, guys. I'm quoting that. I'm keeping that. That's big. That's big stuff. You know what I mean? That you don't. Yes, you want to be great, but greatness does come from the opinion of the masses, right? It comes from the opinion of the people. But excellence is self-driven. People can tell you you're great, but even if I feel like I'm great, how can I get to being excellent? I got to drive myself there. I got to jump in that car called life and called work ethic, and I got to grind and get to being excellent. So I absolutely loved just listening to him, listening to Will Putnam talk about those things and what he brings to the table, man. Just really, really, listen, QB of the offensive line. I absolutely enjoyed listening to all these guys, right? I listened to Dabo, listened to Cade, listened to Will. I got to go back and listen to Tyler Davis, to listen to the big interior defensive lineman, man, go out there and talk his talk and what he's getting prepared for the season as well. And I might do a YouTube short for you guys on YouTube, based on that, if he has any good, good pieces for me to pull from. But listen, guys, thank y'all for tapping in with me. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every single day, Monday through Friday, whenever I drop these episodes. Guys, we're about to ramp up content because college camps, fall camps are kicking off. You know what I tell you guys, especially with the YouTube aspect of this podcast and this channel, we're trying to get it to 1,000 subscribers. We're over 400, and I haven't even been doing this long. So thank y'all for all that love and support, man. But for the YouTube, go subscribe, hit the bell notification, and tell a friend. If you're more of on the audio side, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, go subscribe, download, put it on automatic downloads, share, leave a 5-star review, and tap in with your boy. Go continue to support. And I do have the Patreon link. Go to the community channel, and you can join the Patreon where I'll be dropping film clips and different things like that I can't drop on this channel. So I want you guys, and like I said, I have some more content, especially once we get to the season, to really give you guys all access into my mind and how I approach evaluating college football, NFL draft, all that good stuff. But as always, in terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me, DP_NFL. Talk to me because I talk back. Y'all it's happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Go Tigers.